Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here in Yountville. It is a beautiful day, and I just figured, like, why not? I got my laptop here. I'll pop in the headphones and do a little video because it's amazing and way better than being in my kitchen. But hey, you make do with what you got. Let's see if I can get a little view up here. I don't know if you can see that, but not too bad. Some little vineyards there. Um, so what I want to talk to you about really quick is I want to do a double tap on this idea of mindfulness, and I want to talk about specific. I want to give some context to like why it matters, why practicing mindfulness matters, and how it can apply to life, how it can make your life better immediately, and how it's really the only good way to be is to be mindful and conscious. So here we go. I'm just going to jump right into it. Okay. I want to start out with this idea of turning the other cheek. This always pissed me off. I'm not religious in the sense that I don't believe in or follow a specific like religious thing. I'm not Muslim or Catholic or whatever. The big ass bus drives by. It's okay. But I grew up in Catholic church, so I'm very familiar with the Bible and all those things, and there's some good lessons to be learned there, just like there are good lessons to be learned from all types of texts, spiritual, philosophical, or not. And turning the other cheek always frustrated me because I always felt like giving up. Coming from a military background, that's what we call a no-go. We're not interested in that very passive, just let it be. And when I first started learning about mindfulness, I got that impression, like, let the moment be, accept the moment. If this real shitty situation just happened, that's horrible, accept it. And I just felt like, no, that's like laying down and dying. Like, fuck that. Like I'm going to fight back. Well, here's the thing. I think turn the other cheek is basically talking about being conscious, and it's talking about acceptance of the now. And here's where it's important to understand that turning the other cheek doesn't mean giving up or just not fighting back. In fact, it means the opposite of that. It's your best way to attack. It's your best move forward, and here's why. When life happens, something happens to you, and all of a sudden you get this emotional reaction. The mind starts pulling negative emotions and experiences from the past that relate to the situation that's happening. You associate and assign a negative emotion to it. Your mind does. You start thinking about the future and the consequences that this may or may not have. And it starts creating this negative energy, and you identify with it. It becomes you. It wraps you up. There is no way that this is the best way forward. Okay? Because guess what? Your mind and your emotions and all these things that are not you, because you can observe these things, you are not them by definition. Okay? So being the observer is being. That's really being conscious. And it's like a light. It's like clicking the light on when you are an observer. So these things happen, and instead of associating with them and letting them take over your life and make decisions for you that are not the best decisions that you could be making, for sure, because if you're not conscious, you're making unconscious decisions. You're just you're giving up. That's giving up. Instead of doing that, be the observer. This is where mindfulness practices come in. Observe the emotion and the feeling and identify it. Say, there it is. Don't pretend like it doesn't exist. This isn't about being happy when you're sad. Let yourself be sad. Just don't identify with that feeling or emotion. Let your mind think what it is. But just say, look, there's my mind thinking about this X, Y, and Z. That's powerful. Being the observer cuts the cord between you and the thought and emotion and the feeling, and it creates a separation. And that right there this is the root of this whole. This is where it's real powerful. Just creating that separation is like clicking on that light, that little light in the darkness. Pop. And you will not become wrapped up and identified with these emotions and feelings, which are they're not helping you. You think they are. See, the ego thinks it's helping itself by identifying with these things, but it's really not. It's really hurting itself. The best way to do things is to acknowledge, let the things happen. Don't pretend like I'm happy when I'm not. Let it happen. And then, because you're conscious and alive, you can make the best move, the best, clearest, real, true decision without being influenced by the thought, the mind, and the emotions. And that's always the best way. This reminds me of the times in the military, in combat, when bad things would happen. Boom, IED goes off, whatever, some situation happens. It's obviously not a great situation. A lot of things are happening there instantly. Your mind is going into the past and pulling up all this fear and anger and in the future, and what happened? Will I die? Will I make it home? What's going on? Da 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 da. And if you identify with that, it can leave you literally just like a deer in the headlights. And that's counterproductive. That's what can get people killed. The guys who were able to disconnect and just allow those things to be separate from who they were and say, okay, this situation is bad. It wasn't being like, oh, this is great. It was like, bad situation. Got it. Check. Okay, now, what can I do as a conscious person observing this situation? What's the best move forward? How am I going to play my cards in the best way right now? And that type of reaction, that type of consciousness saved lives. And it applies to everything that you do in life. And I think, for me, it reinforces this idea of mindfulness and acceptance. So acceptance is not giving up. It's actually the best way to fight back. Turn the other cheek doesn't mean let someone punch you in the face and then say, oh, hit me again. That's not what it means. Turn the other cheek means don't fight what is happening by going, oh man, this is horrible, oh, and getting wrapped up and letting all these negative energy and emotions from the past and these thoughts of the future just really become who you are and consume you. That's fine. This is so bad. No, this is what it is. Let the emotions happen. Let the feelings happen. Don't pretend they're not there. Just don't associate with them. Turn the other cheek. Okay? When life happens, let it happen. Be the observer, meaning click your light on, be conscious. It's the only way to make the best move forward, the smartest, best decision for yourself and for others. So you can see how practicing mindfulness applies in the real world and how it can make a profound difference in everything you do. It's not practicing acceptance of the moment is not giving up and being passive. It's actually the opposite. It's the best way to make the smartest, most effective move forward. And you're doing it as a conscious being in the now, which is the only thing that is real. It's the only thing that matters. It's the best way to actually make a difference. So practicing mindfulness and keeping that separation between you, the viewer, the being, and the mind and what the mind does and its thoughts and emotions and what they do and the negative energy that they bring, and allowing those things to be what they are and allowing the situation to be, turning the other cheek, letting it happen, and observing that separates you and allows you to make the best move forward. So I hope that helped everybody, and I hope everyone's doing well, and take care. Cheers.